Tahverlee, welcome to Fargo Talks.
Thanks for having me here. I'm so excited.
Long time coming.
I know. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And I get to be with you in Vegas, which is awesome.
Well, you're fun. You're just a good person. There are a lot of similarities to you and my wife because you're just positive and your energy, it just exudes goodness. I think greatness is a term overly used and you're like, oh, this person's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be consistently good than periodically great.
Interesting.
I want to be consistently positive.
You are that.
Well, thank you.
For sure you are that.
You're sweet.
And thank you. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
It'll be something that I've never even spoken. I mean, we've been friends for a while and we work together. And so I've learned a lot about, your spirituality, which is unbelievable. And I've never met someone more intuitive.
Thank you.
Who can not especially read yourself, but read other people. And so, yeah.
It's exciting. And plus we talk a lot about, our time together has been a lot about my side of business, not necessarily what I do in the business, but about the business, right?
And so I think this conversation is more about who you are and not Tahverlee Inc., but just Tahverlee and who you are and what you do, because you have a massive audience online and there's folks that are out there and it's getting to be kind of a competitive area, right?
Yeah.
That there's other people now that are either just being more consistent with their content or their messaging or whatever so they're out there too. That's fine. Imitations is the sincerest form of flattery.
You say that until you look at the 100 fake accounts in my name on TikTok. 100. I literally got a DM today from a friend of mine whose show I've been on a few times. And not only are there these fake accounts in my name now, they are selling full courses in my name as well. Courses, not just like readings. And I just reported it all this morning. I'm like, wow, that takes some big balls. They're going to get tracked down and that's fraud. That's fraud. Serious fraud.
That's fraud.
Yeah. But besides that, yes, people are going to do what they're going to do.
I just learned recently, and it's totally my fault, up until 2 months ago, I never had Fargo Talks trademarked.
Well, and that's an interesting story because, it's very difficult for me to trademark my name, which is what I should do because none of my businesses yet, if we're going to talk about the books, are necessarily under my name. If your name is not included in your business, what are you trademarking? You can trademark the name of your business. You can trademark the name of all the different things that you do, your podcasts, but without it being specifically your name, you can't just trademark your name. And I have a unique name, so I wanted to trademark it and I couldn't. I tried. I'm still working on it.
That is something that, needs to get done.
Yes.
Because then whenever someone does something anywhere, especially online, you just send them your trademark info and that's gone.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. That was a good reminder.
I've got you. I've got you. Okay.
So where are we going to start?
We're going to start with the origin of magic. You help others remember who they came here to be. But when was the first time you felt real magic or a spiritual presence and thought, this is real?
Such a good question. And I have to separate it into a few facets, as I do. As you know, I do. The first part is defining magic, right? Because there are many different definitions of magic. And so for our conversation today, I'm going to define magic as intentionally creating or doing something to influence change. Okay, so we got that. Well, we'll just assume that there are different ways to describe it, and that's very simple. Compared to a lot of practices, that's a very simple rendition, but I think it's enough for us for today. And we need to separate when I first experienced magic from, the spiritual path, from the awakening of knowing that there's more to life than, what we see in the 3D, what we strive for. Because for me, they go hand in hand, but the magic came, like practicing magic or witchcraft came after. I really developed a lot of inner knowing around the spiritual plane. It isn't really talked about. I certainly wasn't raised, and I don't mean spiritual plane as in religion. I mean the unseen realms, things that live in the space between where you and I are sitting right here. It's not empty. it's full of energy. It's full of thoughts. It's full of my heartbeat connecting to your heartbeat, right? All this energy. I explored that first. I knew that was real before I really went down the path of understanding, I'll say, rituals, magic, spell casting, or anything that I started intentionally doing to influence through the unseen realm. So I had to put all those caveats in. So when you ask, when did I first experience that? For me, it was a series of hard things that, we all go through in life that led me to ask this question. Is this all there is? Like, is this all there is, right? Are we working to buy more things? Are we striving to have the perfect relationship and raise the perfect children and have the right house? And, then that crashed down, and then it crashed down in different ways as life does, and things change. And I just had this inkling, and it stayed with me for a long time before I even said it aloud. This idea of, is this all there is? And then the moment that I actually said it out loud came following a surgical complication that I had, having a tumor removed from my breast, where I ended up with a full system infection that went into my lymph system. And when I went in for this emergency surgery, I can't say that I had a near-death experience or anything like that. I can say that when I went to sleep for that second surgery, I saw the other side. And it wasn't scary. There was no, my life didn't flash before my eyes. It was none of that. I just knew that, okay, maybe I was on the edge there a little. And when I came out of it, I said that question aloud. Is this all there is? If I can see that in a dream state, led by, medication to put me to sleep, if I can see that, well, then what is there? And then I just started down the rabbit hole of researching energy, researching life, death, rituals, meditation, all the things. And as I did that, I feel like when you start playing in energy, energy starts playing with you. So I started playing with energy, and, the universe, God has started giving me these little breadcrumbs to lead me to the next thing to explore. And then one day I met someone who was, actually a practicing witch that led me into all the education that I then began, which was about 10 years ago. So, yeah.
Do you think that energy we have a reciprocal relationship with energy?
With all energy sources, yes. Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that. I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, let's do it. Let's do some energy connection. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So you can keep your eyes open for this. Normally I have people close their eyes, but I want you to just, close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to do a 3 breath cycle with me. We're going to do 9 count in and 9 count out. Here we go. Breathe in. Keep going. And now start a slow release. Breathe in one more time, nice and slow. Fill your belly. Keep going. Slow release. Good. We're going to do it one more time. Breathe in, nice and slow. And slowly, as you let it go, let your breathing return to normal. And now I want you to turn your intention into your heart. Give it all of your attention. And see if you can feel your heart beating inside your chest. That beautiful organ keeping you alive without you even asking. See if you can feel your heartbeat. Good. Now open your eyes. So what I did there is the moment I felt when you could connect your heartbeat from here, I put mine in sync with yours. I changed my heartbeat after I could feel yours, and I felt us going like this. And I'm sure you felt it.
It was wild.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah. So yeah, energy,
Wow.
that's...
Wow.
Yeah. And that to me is... that's magic, right? I mean, there's 1,000 definitions of magic, but that's a beautiful...
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do, because if we can pay attention to that energy and do that with nature, do that with the things that are real, like the people that we love and our children and our passion, then we're creating change that you can't track, that you can't put into a data set, that is going to give you an output from an AI tool that says, oh, that change happened. You can't do that. But what you can do is you can feel it. And once you feel it and you know it to be true, nobody can take that back out of you.
It is incredible because when we've talked about this, we live in such an electronically dominated society now. And to close your eyes and do 3 9-count breaths and then be mindful enough to identify and be in tune with your own heartbeat and feel your own heartbeat. Listen to that. No AI tool can replicate that.
No.
Right?
And how long do you think that took?
30 seconds.
Right. And how many people do you think go about their whole life without ever paying attention to the fact that there's this thing inside of them that's beating and moving and breathing, this whole organism that is alive, that's creating everything we're experiencing in our life, right? It's our house that's holding our soul, and your soul is connected to your heart. And if we think about how simple something like that is and how important it is.
It's something that we move so fast. And actually, if you think about it and if you reflect, the more you slow down, you'll get more done.
Isn't there the saying, I think you know that I used to teach Krav Maga. I was a student and then an instructor in Krav Maga. There's something we used to say all the time, that slow is steady, steady is smooth, and smooth becomes fast. That's how you get through things. But slow living is, boy, that's an act of rebellion.
Amen.
And that's a part of, I'm writing another book, which, as you know, I have a new book in the works, which we won't talk about because it's not coming out until 2027.
That's
but
fine.
I'm writing this idea of how to hold rebellion when we're all still in the system. Like, we're in the system. I'm in the machine. You're in the machine. We are living in this digital world. But how do we be sovereign? How do we stay human in this digital world? Well, it's things like that.
And it's things like it's counterintuitive, but like the business guy in me is like, you need an app where it's AI Tahverlee. And it's like you talking to whoever, mentioning them by name and saying, okay, now it's time to be mindful and how to become, I want you to be your own sovereign being with me right now for the next 30 seconds. And for people, and for you to be that person for them every day. Every day.
Okay, so this is so fascinating that you say that. So there is a new app that has just been released by a spiritual leader named Deepak Chopra, which you've probably heard of. So they have taken 90 pieces of his content and everything that he's written and built it into this AI tool and created just that. So for 30 cents, a minute, or 30 cents every 5 minutes, you can log in and hear Deepak Chopra give you that. Now, it is getting terrible reviews from the spiritual community because, and I don't disagree with the concept, because what you just said, I feel like that too, right? How do we reach more people? And I'm not the only person doing this work. There's lots of us, but of course, YouTube and my own, the things that I do, I try to put out as much as I can, but we need a lot of people doing this for us to see real change. But there's not a lot of support for him doing this app. And I think part of it is because a few people have gone in and tested it and asked really hard questions that people might start leaning on if they have an app like that. That unless you have a beating heart and you can feel what they're saying, you can't support. So as much as I agree with you that there should be an app where I'm talking to people, it's called YouTube and it's my name. But yeah, we need more people doing this.
That is the biggest challenge, I think, in your field is authenticity. And when do you cross that line where it's not authentic anymore? Because everyone now is trying to do things bigger, stronger, faster, scale it, 10x this, 10x that, where I don't see how you can really do that with what you are and who you are. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I mean, we try. I'm still running a business. I feel like I'm of service, but I also have a business attached to part of that service, not all of it. I think that working in a capitalistic society and still trying to stay authentic in the, spiritual or witchcraft space is hard. But you see me doing it on social media. I just say a lot of things that are controversial. That's because, maybe you're scrolling through looking for kittens, and then you're going to come across one of my posts that says, don't do this, just hex them instead. But, I'm really just knowing, and I do know that what I'm putting out is really giving people a slice of something being possible, with my goal of being of service to them in a greater way. So I'm aware that small pieces of clips or even a 10-minute video is only hopefully going to open the door. I know it's not the depth that people need. So I continue to try to provide ways in which people can go bigger into their own path, but I don't think that I don't have a desire to take it in the way that we might for normal businesses.
Right.
Right?
What is the strongest way somebody
normal
can
businesses? Sorry,
Yeah,
laughing.
you're fine. What is the most impactful way someone can take themselves in their own direction and make themselves better?
Well, the most important thing to do is to start by connecting to your body. We have these amazing machines that we are housed in and I'm going to talk specifically on the female side, on the woman's side, that we have been conditioned to become so estranged from for a multitude of reasons. We've been controlled, we've been conditioned, we've been persecuted, and it's created a lot of comfort in being disconnected from our bodies. And that's the first wisdom center. And it's the same for men, although their experience in connecting with their body is going to be different than it is for women, but the practices are the same. So to get started, things like putting your digital devices aside, sitting in either meditation or sitting in nature, spending time in stillness and in quiet without any external input and then connecting to your body, it will start to allow you to hear what's happening on the inside of your soul. And it's not easy. There isn't a 10-minute fix for it. There isn't a recipe that you can follow because everyone is different, but starting with your body and starting with presence to what you feel, know, see, and hear from inside of you is the place to start. And that takes practice.
And it's something that we just have to do over and over and over again.
It's way better in that place anyway, because in your body is where you're feeling. Now, of course, you're going to feel the parts of your body that you've discarded or been cast aside. Or if you're a woman, there's a high chance that your body has been abused in some way, in some shape of your life. I mean, we know the percentage of women that have experienced some type of sexual trauma in their body is high. So when we start connecting to our body, yes, the shadows are going to come out. The shadows are part of who we are. And, of course, there's lots of methods to deal with that. But once you start connecting to it, you're going to feel the painful things and the good things, and it all lives inside of you. We forget that the things that make us really happy they're not a feeling outside of us. It might be something outside of us that made us happy, like a beautiful leaf falling from a tree on a fall day. You might look at it and say, oh, I bless that leaf. That was everything. But the leaf was just being the leaf. The feeling is inside of us. That's where all the good stuff is.
I remember you had a post about, and again, I could be wrong, but like hugging a tree.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me about that. 'Cause I thought that was wonderful because, I mean, from our generation, you're like tree huggers. We're the Sierra Club.
Hippies.
What are you doing? Like you're like chaining yourself to a sequoia, so they won't take it down. Here come the bulldozers. That's what I thought of. But then when you said it was completely different, and I would love you to share your thoughts on that.
So the first book in these series of books that I'm writing 4 books, and they're based upon each cardinal direction, because each cardinal direction holds an element. And each cardinal direction's element has different types of magic that you can connect to. And what I teach is that we all move through all the directions in this spiral path. We go from the north, which is the earth and winter and slow periods, to the east, which is our beliefs, how we feel about ourselves. It's everything related to air. We go to the south, which is fire, and it's our passion, and it's the ripeness of summer. And then we move to the west, where it's water, and it's fall, where things change and decay comes, and we start the cycle again. So if we were to put a tree in amongst that great spiral path of life in the way that I teach it, the tree sits to the north, right? The tree is connected to the element of earth. The roots of the tree go down deep into the center of the earth, and the branches of the tree continue to grow towards the sun. Like, this is a physical fact of a tree. But so do we. Right? Our roots, when we're more rooted, more connected to our bodies, more aligned with who we are and not what's going on around us, then the higher we can grow. And we grow branches when we expand, when we try new things, when we experience more pleasure. All of those are like little berries on our own branches. So when you connect to a tree, you are connecting to a part of yourself in the way that nature is us, right? We have all these same things. A tree goes to sleep, a tree sheds its leaves, its roots connect to other roots, just like we connect to other humans. So when you're connecting to a tree, it's a real living thing that's going through the same cycle of the directions like we are. So when you hug a tree, it's like giving a part of yourself to another thing. And that thing, all that it asks for in return is your attention. Right? A tree will take all your energy and just disperse it in its roots, and you just say thank you, or maybe give it a little drink of your water, and you will feel an immediate change in your body. And it might be hard for people to understand that if they've never done it. But I will say that, like you and I just experienced, once you feel it, you can't unfeel it.
And it's free. It doesn't cost anything to do that.
And it's free. I know. And people are like, oh, that crazy hippie chick says, go hug a tree. I'll grow branches like the tree. Well, really, there is a lot of studies that are happening now. Isn't this so funny? We must have just been talking so explosively. My ponytail just burst in my hair. Look at that. I love it. I love it. My branches got big. The tree itself, if you study a lot of what's happening in science, they will tell you that a tree has the ability to change energy. So if we just go back to energy, a tree is a natural alchemizer of energy, and different trees have different energy. So whenever you're near that tree, you're basically just combining energy like we just did. Simpler way to say it. Now that I just burst my ponytail.
And for the record, Brandy, I had nothing to do with the burst of your ponytail.
I just burst
so
right
you know.
out of my head.
You're on a mission to redefine the modern mystic. Why do you feel the world needs witches and spiritual leaders now more than ever? And what do you fear would happen if we ignore that call?
It's a good question. We need to retain our humanity as we grow as a evolutionary part of where we're at. And I'm going to, again, kind of separate the men and the women here, and not because it's different for either, because it's easier for me to categorize what I'm going to say. We need more women in touch with their bodies and in touch with the cycles, and to be the healers and the creators that they are, because women have something super special that we bring to the world, and it's called humans. Like, without women, there wouldn't be other humans. Maybe one day there's going to be lab-based humans, but those aren't the kind of humans that I think any of us really want to see growing on this planet. The healers, the witches, and the women are in touch with their bodies, and they are in service to others. And not all, and I'm brushing big categories because it's easier for the conversation, but I recognize not all witches would identify themselves as a healer. Not all witches would identify themselves as a psychic. But I do think that in a lot of ways it goes hand in hand. We see a lot of people that are, identify as a witch or a healer are really just utilizing their own innate natural abilities to be empathic, to feel, to know, to bring wisdom forward. And we need more of that. And it has been conditioned out of women for so long that for us to be talking about this now, for some people, they're going to not understand what that means. And that is because it has been taken, right? It's been taken to fit into the system, to fit into a box, to be a certain way. Part of that's religion, because, of course, we just wiped all the women out of the story, but part of that's to fit in the box. But the other piece of that is that healers and witches, men or women, that are sovereign in their bodies aren't controllable. They cannot be, led to believe things that aren't true. They are sovereign. So when we talk about how important it is to have more awake, let's just even use that word, more spiritually awake humans, it is more sovereign humans that don't want to be, the sheep being led to slaughter by our government, by empire, whatever you want to call it. systems of control.
My head just exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's true. It is, you see it now with people online and that have just completely are devoid of their own personal sovereignty,
Mm-hmm.
gone
Mm-hmm.
in just malicious comments or lack of wanting to grow.
Mm-hmm.
The outright terrifying decline in birth rates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is, what is the correlation between the decline in birth rates and the lack of a woman's sovereignty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to that. And even putting the witchcraft side aside, we could talk about that because still we live in a time where racism and sexism still exists. Like I don't know what rock people think they're living under, but these issues have not been solved. It's my lifetime. I was alive the day that the federal law changed that allowed a woman to get a mortgage without a man. It's 1979. Like I was alive. So those issues that we were facing then, I mean, they're almost on the table again. There's a whole bunch of really young influencers, and this isn't about politics, but whatever side they lean on, they feel, and there's a lot of very public voices coming out saying women shouldn't vote again. Like we should take women back, put women back into that place. Wow, right? There's almost a reversal kind of happening, I think, of some of the stance that women have had to at least have a seat at the table. It's not to say that we women, and I don't mean to generalize and speak for everyone, but I will generalize that there is still a lot of sexism that exists that we haven't yet got fully comfortable taking that seat. Yeah. It might have been there, and now I think that seat is disappearing again. I think it's like slowly being taken out from under us. The birth rate issue is, I also think that could be medically, that could be part of the fallout from what happened during the pandemic. I think our bodies are changing. I think our food sources aren't what they used to be. I think that we are trying to mass produce and mass control so much of what's happening, especially in the U.S. where you and I reside and are at the moment. I think that there are so many different systems at play trying to keep us a certain way that what we think we're controlling, we might not be.
I think that given the explosion of AI,
mm-hmm.
given the explosion of social media, that things are now being discovered that we never even knew about.
Mm-hmm.
Like
truth.
Yeah. And like with large corporations controlling, like here in Las Vegas, I forget now the percentage of homes owned by private equity firms like BlackRock. Like it's crazy.
And it's across every industry, every niche, even in the spirituality communities it's happening. Like there's everything is breaking down. And this year is a 9-year, which is then end of a cycle year. So if you were to, talk to a lot of astrologers or people that study numerology, they would tell you that this is the year that everything is going to crack. Because there's something new coming. Like we're starting a whole new cycle, and we know AI is a part of that. But I also think a big piece of that is this truth. Like the illusions are dropping, and while the illusions are dropping, not everybody's waking up to it. That's kind of, I think, the challenge that we face as humans is, and who are we to say the right way to wake up to a truth? It's,
That's the scariest part, my friend, is how do you wake up? More importantly, how do you wake others up? And I think that's your role on this planet, is waking others up to identify, grow, and maintain their personal sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I've been initiated in a couple of different traditions. And one of the first traditions that I initiated in as a high priestess, that was actually a part of my initiatory code, was to be a warrior for sovereignty. So it is a part of the values in how I live my craft. It's how I run my business. And, I do other type of business work in the social impact field because I'm passionate about supporting community. And I think that word sovereignty is something that I want every human that I can touch to experience.
To me, it is, again, peel back the onion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And slow down. Stop with...
Take it out. Mm-hmm.
Stop with this all the time. Get rid of it for a little bit of time every day. And just be in tune with who you are. I think that you have to do that. And then it's letting others know.
And staying connected to your body.
And staying connected to your body, which is the biggest challenge, especially as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
And you wake up and there's a different ache or pain.
Yeah, doesn't always feel safe in your body.
God, yeah. It's the longest running joke I have with Brandy is I get up in the morning and I have to sit. When I get up, I'll sit up and I have to sit for a few seconds. Mm-hmm. Let the blood get ready, because if not, I get lightheaded if I stand up too quick. Mm-hmm. And so 99.9% of the time, she says, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Fuck no, I'm 56 years old. You kidding me? I'm not okay. Are you nuts?" I say it as a joke, but really, there's some truth to that. That as we get older, and being Gen Xers, it was grin and bear it. You know, no one's going to help you. You got to do it yourself. You know, it doesn't matter who you piss off. Just do it and get it done. And, you know, rub dirt on it and take a lap and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, and no, that's not looking back now. It's like, oh.
So you know what we could add into that list of what you just said? One little powerful thing that is an interesting topic for people to explore is contemplate your death more often. I teach a ritual at the end of a whole bunch of classes in mystery school that is to write your own obituary and have a little death ceremony for all the parts of you that you've left behind from birth till now. And you fill a little box with items and letters to yourself and the old parts of you that knows you just fucked shit up. And, you know, all the things like forgive yourself, release the shame, release the guilt, do that process, put it in a box, have a full, party, bury the box, and then write your own obituary for the rest of this time you have left in life. And most people get super uncomfortable with that. And I think it's because of the part of the world we live in. We don't talk about death enough. And we know that, you know, my belief system is we live again. We've lived in the past. We might incarnate to another body. We definitely have incarnated before. I don't think I've really met any new souls in my practice, brand new souls, maybe newish souls, but not new souls. So if we're going to incarnate again, you know, there's a type of karma that gets often associated with the things we didn't do in this lifetime carry forward into the next lifetime. And I don't mean karma isn't bad. I mean just lessons or things you haven't experienced yet. But if we spend more time thinking about death, how would we live? I love to give homework to a lot of my students, and oftentimes that homework is, okay, if you had 2 years left, what would you do? How would you live? And sometimes for some people that brings up fear, so we have to unwind that. Okay, so what if you knew it was 10 years? What if you knew your expiry date? We all have one. It's going to happen. And yes, our souls might live on, but listen, you got to be in a body to have orgasms and eat chocolate, enjoy those things. So I want to be in a body as long as I can. But if we're disconnected from it, we lose the ability to maximize how healthy it can be, how long it can live.
I think everyone should spend a day with a hospice nurse.
Love it. Yes.
Everybody should spend a day with a hospice nurse.
Yes.
And see what they go through where they are caring for and tending to people that have days, months, weeks to live, and dementia, and where the brain is just gone and the body's okay. And it would give everybody much more of a perspective on what finite terms we are here on this planet. And I think it would help really set the standard for who we are, to give more urgency on achieving, a greater sense of sovereignty. When you know that we have the date that we're all going to be born, we're all going to go. That's it. 100 years from now, we're ashes and dust. So what type of mark can we leave on this planet while we're here through, first and foremost, the ones we love, but then also the other ones around us that we maybe never thought we had an impact on, but we did through doing something like this.
Yeah.
And they listen in. And that's where I love, love, love what you do, because you are an analog soul
soul.
You're an analog soul in a digital world right now. And you're doing extremely well in getting your message out to where, and I want to get into, because we're good on time, in a little bit with your books, because that is to talk about a legacy. the thing I can't stand is, and I have friends that have done it, no shade on them, but it's something I would never do, is you leave like your name on a building. Here's the Jeff and Brandy Fargo, ER at, Southern Hills Hospital in Las Vegas. Fuck that. That is, you're giving money because you're a high net worth individual. It's a tax deduction and it's an ego play. And it lasts longer than a billboard. Your name's going to be there. How about writing a book and leaving that for generations to read and become better?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm sure you've thought about it, but something I want to talk about with you before we get into the actual books themselves and starting with the first book. But have you even thought about the impact that, let's say, the first book will have on the world?
You know what I have thoughts of? Maybe not on the world, because that feels like a lot to process. You know what I do have thoughts of is, let me ask you a question. How much would you love to be able to pick up a book and read something that your great-grandmother wrote about her life?
Absolutely.
How much would that change you? How much would that change your children? Yeah, that's what I think about. That I'm going to have grandkids, I'm going to be gone one day, and I have a couple of grandkids alive right now, and I think, wow, whenever I go, they're going to have these things that I wrote in my voice about my life and about my practices that they can always have. And that just, there's something special about that. The rest of the world, yes, great too, but my own children and grandchildren, I'm going to be an awesome ancestor from the sky, from the underworld, wherever I decide to visit from.
Depends on the day.
Depends on the day. Depends on, maybe I'll come through a tree. Sometimes I'll probably come through a hard lesson. But yeah, that really, it hits me it hits some place in my heart that maybe I've gained enough wisdom in this lifetime to leave something that will one day make, my lineage of children feel better about themselves. And that feels, I don't know that there's any other feeling quite like it.
The idea of legacy is a very powerful, powerful feeling, and a very powerful thing. To me, it's the greatest thing that we can give our children and grandchildren is something that we've bestowed upon them, a thought, their personal morals or ethics, a habit that we've given them that they take on for the rest of their lives, and then they pass that on to their loved ones.
Or maybe we just give them courage. Do you have anybody in your family that's published multiple books?
No.
I don't have anybody in my family that's published books before. And so whether or not they like what I wrote about or agree with it, if anything, I hope it gave them courage, to try and do something that's different, because they'll know that I talk about it in my books. I don't know anybody that's doing anything that I've done, not in my family, not in my extended family. And that is an interesting place to be. So I hope that just gives them courage.
Is courage something that you think you've already passed on to your loved ones?
Yes. My children, maybe they swing to the side of stubbornness alongside their mom. I don't know where they get any of that from, but they definitely, I definitely have.
What is something, and then I want to get into the books. What is the one thing beyond stubbornness that you think you've already passed on to your kids? That you see and you just swell up with pride?
They really care about people. And they're both hard workers as humans, because I have a kind of I'm a strong personality. I have a strong work ethic. I'm not afraid of hard work. But if you combine that with kindness towards others, it opens up a lot of ways of living. Yeah, they're both of my children are super kind humans.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
so
even though they drive me bonkers.
So are mine, and they drive you nuts, and that's okay.
And they're wonderful, and yes.
But to see your kids be kind, my stepdaughter, my daughter, my son are all kind people, and we sit back and just go, oh.
Yeah, that to me, that's if there's ever a gold ribbon that we want pinned to our corpse when we die, it's the one that says we have kind children.
It's wonderful how, again, we live in the iPhone society now, but both I've seen my stepdaughter and my daughter do this for their friends. the gifts that they'll put together, or little just things to do for like their friends' birthdays. I never, when I was younger, fucking do that shit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, my God, child.
Yeah. Empathy.
That's something I see resurging now in the like 16, 17-year-old kid age range, or Gen X or Gen Z, whatever Y that is. But it's like, they give a shit.
I think that they were born at a different time too. You know, what's the generational cutoff to where children weren't raised without social media? It's us, right? We're the last generation that lived without anything first, and then, you know, got used to the internet, then got used to social media. They don't know any different. Plus, they lived through the pandemic. They lived through being told a whole bunch of lies from a whole bunch of people, and they've seen a lot of things crash down. So I think that maybe they have a stronger appreciation for connection at a younger age than we did. Maybe.
I think that is a very insightful opinion. I agree.
Yeah,
because we got what we went through. No internet. You know, I tell my kids, I remember the first microwave we had was like as big as this table almost.
Or a VCR. Do you remember the first VCRs?
My dad hedged his bet. He had a VCR and a Betamax.
Wow.
He had both.
Wow.
Yeah, my first porn ever was on Beta. Those young girls, it was called Ron Jeremy. And yeah, it was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
That's my first time I wasn't gay. I saw that.
That's
like,
so funny.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
I
something
know
going on down there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, here we go. But and to see like the fall of the Soviet Republic under Reagan, you know, with all that, when Gorbachev and Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall, the Berlin Wall coming down.
Do you remember the Berlin Wall coming down? Like what a, I mean, I don't think that our kids have lived through it that way. They've lived through different things, right? Which is what we're talking about. But I think, I think that they need that connection more than because we had that connection in person all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I was like sent outside as a kid. And it's like, be back before bed. Be back at 9:00 at night. See ya.
Every summer. In Canandaigua, New York, every summer lived on a 17-mile-long lake in a little townhouse complex. Yeah, it was, you were on your bike all over town.
So we didn't lack connection.
Correct.
Right. And that's what I think we're talking about, the kindness in our children, is I think that that's created from the inner knowing that they know that they need that. And of course, this isn't all kids, but I do think I think that's real. I think that's a real thing.
It's something that where we live, it's a decent little neighborhood, and my son's almost 10 and he's become friends with these kids that are out, and they'll play football on the street, they play soccer, they ride their bikes, and I will make him, because sometimes he'll just sit on the couch and watch YouTube videos. And I'm like, no, honey.
You gotta go outside.
your friends are out there. Even a couple weeks ago, he wasn't at the house, but they came and knocked on the door and said, is Jack here? Can he come out and play?
I love that.
Tahverlee, I had a flashback to Canandaigua, New York, 1981, where I was 11 years old, and my friends would come and knock on the door, and then you're gone for hours. And you come, when I see Jack come walking back in the house all sweaty, his hands are all dirty, I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, it's the best.
That is
it's the best.
Talk about connecting with yourself in an organic way.
That's that to me is how we preserve our sovereignty in this like machine world that we're caught in. That's how.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, okay.
Good for you.
Well, thank you. Good for him. It's the joy of having a Gen X parents is I'm like, get your ass outside. Go. You've got a wonderful bike. You've got kids that are nice and they're neighbors. Go.
You know, there's nothing quite like riding a bike when you're a kid and feeling the wind in your face. Like the wind, like riding down the sidewalk and just that free feeling. That's what freedom feels like. We don't ever want the next generation to forget what freedom feels like.
No, and you can't get that on a treadmill.
No.
You know, you can't get that on a stationary bicycle in a gym.
And you can't get that from AI.
And you can't get that from AI. Let's talk about book 1. Okay. The impetus of it.
You want the story? Shall I share the story? The crazy story?
As much as you want to, because I want as many teasers as possible, because then we'll clip it and drop stuff for you.
Great.
Like when the book's going to drop.
Okay.
Or drop again and everything else and what's happened.
So it started with, I'll go back to 2017, 18. I started writing my memoir. I've had a pretty crazy, wonderful life full of all kinds of magic, which we haven't really talked a lot about, so everybody will have to read the book. But I've had these crazy, wild experiences, and I wrote a memoir about it and did a lot of education in the publishing industry. So I knew how to query agents. I knew, what the publishing business is like. Tried all that. 9 months later, no bites. So I thought, okay, I've learned a lot. I was really happy that I did this big writing experience. And I think that everybody should write a memoir, actually, because it creates so much change and transformation in your body when you pull out these little situations that have formed you. Like writing a memoir is taking out the things that have made you who you are and putting them to paper. So I was grateful for that part. Well, then I got a call from an agent very near the end of when I decided, to put that aside. And one agent, asked me all kinds of questions about the memoir and then said to me, "We know people like you that write like this. Are you writing other books? Do you have any other books?" And I'm like, "Oh, funny you should say that." And I held up this 4-book outline that I had just written, like within that week, all the details of how I wanted to write about magic and the directions and, bridging the gap between what I think is spirituality and witchcraft, like finding the middle ground. And they said, "Okay, great. We want to see those first." And I'm like, oh. So I set the memoir aside and I kept that outline and I slowly started to work it. And then one day it just happened. I guess it was about 2 years ago. I decided I was going to do it. I was going to self-publish these 4 books and self-publish because I'd been down that avenue already. And I know the challenges of the industry and I felt like it's better to publish it than not. So I self-published the first book. And that was a year ago, January. It came out. Is that when it was? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Isn't that wild to think that a year ago, January? So the book comes out, everything is going really great with the book. In the meantime, I have another grandbaby arrive. So I'm spending time with my family and the new grandbaby. I come back and I feel like it's only 5 or 6 weeks after it drops, but I can't remember. I think it was 5 or 6 weeks. I attended an event where I ended up meeting a major publisher who found out that I had self-published book 1 of a series, and they asked to see the series. I made a proposal, and they gave me an offer to buy all 4 books. So I took book 1 down, and it will be re-released under the banner of Llewellyn worldwide. It will come out in July of 2026, and it's been awesome. Like working with a great publisher that knows the industry, that knows more about how to reach the people who this can help and impact, felt amazing. And it felt like having somebody in my corner. And now I had help when I was self-publishing, but they still wanted you to make all the decisions. And I'm like, I don't know anything about book covers. Like, I don't know anything about this piece or typeset or paper color. The things that I think a lot of people care about when they self-publish were things that I didn't care about when I was self-publishing. So I was thrilled and excited. So I have 4 books coming out with Llewellyn. Book 1 and 2 will be at the end of next year. And in between that, I also have a different publisher that picked up my Oracle deck, which is all made from my own art, which is made during channeled sessions and different magic rituals. I create a lot of art at that time, so I put that into a deck. And then book 3 and 4 will come out in 2027. And I have a very exciting new book that's not public yet that will come out in between all of that, that is to bring some more bite, or I'll say some claws back into witchcraft, because there's a difference with foundational magic that we all need and want. And my 4 books are, to me, very foundational to how I teach and how I live. But there's been this undercurrent even for me. And part of that is the rise of witch talk and a lot of surface level magic that has come up, which isn't bad. It's probably just an entryway. But I want to take people deeper, especially when I feel like with the rise of what's happening with AI and the chaos in the world, I feel like our humanity is a little bit in question. So even though I'm writing these other books, I feel the need to bring something forward that has a little bit more bite to it. A little bit of let's stop softening the human experience and stop softening everything into love and light and high vibration. And let's get a little bit down and dirty with the practice and bring a little blood and a little bit of cursing back into it. And all for the name of sovereignty, right? To be able to protect ourselves and our consciousness and our families.
What is the main premise behind book 1? And then how does that spill over into book 2? And what's book 2
So
about?
book 1 is the North, which is the element of earth, and it's rituals, gifts, and spells, I think, of the North is the title. And the book series is called Sacred Magic. In fact, it is for pre-sale now. You can find it, Barnes & Noble, any online book source, you can pre-order book 1 if you just search my name.
We'll drop links in.
Well, great.
Yeah.
And it takes us through that initial stage of sitting at the top of the wheel, which in terms of seasons, it's like a winter of the soul, not a winter of the weather, but a winter of the soul. The North is the place that we begin. It's when we put the seed deep into the earth and give it nutrients and give it water so we can, explore what's happening inside our own body, maybe move a little bit slower, maybe explore a new project that you want to work on and think of that like the seed. And we cover dreams, we cover what spirits visit you when you're in the North, section of the spiral path of your life, how to work with ancestors, which are known to be those deep land spirit guides because they're connected through your body, and your body is the North. So it's a lot about connecting with your body, awakening your psychic gifts, how to dream with plants, how to do all the magical things that include the earth. And then book 2 is the East. So then we go into air, which is our beliefs, our thoughts. It's everything related to what we can smell, all of our spiritual and psychic gifts that we use through our olfactory system, but it's also sound. And so a big part of book 2 is creating magical playlists and how to use music specifically to change your beliefs or support a belief that you might be unwinding. Yeah. So again, it's that spirituality and witchcraft. I bridge between the two because I think that they go hand in hand, and sometimes they're not covered that way. That's my way.
I love your way.
Thank you.
I do. I adore your way. I love it that you're making the term love and light a little edgier.
Listen.
Come on, man. I love it.
Nobody's going to grow and become an exceptional human and ascend and experience all kinds of magic to be love and light. We can desire love and peace on our planet, but love and light does not combat evil. Love and light does not combat the systems that want you to be something different than you are. Love and light sure isn't like awakening your sexuality. And, we need that. That's part of connecting to our body. I mean, we could have a whole show just on that, but connecting to our body is connecting to what does pleasure feel like? And it isn't just sex, it can be, but what does pleasure feel like? That's not love and light. For a lot of people, that's raw.
I think for my personal sexuality, instead of love and light, I want love and a dimmer switch.
Yeah, right. That's great.
Would be much better.
That's so great.
I think that would be far more complimentary to me.
That's so great. Listen, we all have these edges, that I think that the edges in all things is how we grow the most. We grow the most through challenges, through edges, through pushing, the boundaries of our beliefs to redefining ourselves. And if we want to envision a world where there's less sexism, less racism, less oppression, we have to be willing to be a little edgy. I think it was a podcast I was listening to recently, and I can't think of who it was, but the person was talking about the fact that there's a lot of people right now that aren't happy with the way, especially in the US, things are running, but that we're such a soft group of peoples right now that nobody's willing to fight for a revolution. And I'm like, bring your claws out, bring your magical wand out, and in your own way, right? In your own life and in your own circumstances, protect yourself, learn how to be powerful.
We have become so incredibly soft, and that now there's an industry to make us fat. Now there's an industry with Ozempic and all the stuff that can get us skinny, and which looks. I'm seeing stuff on TikTok of these celebrities that have been on GLP-1 or whatever, the semaglutides, and you're like, oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God.
Do you know Lizzo? Is it Lizzo or Lizzie?
Lizzo.
She published an article, I think on Substack. You should read it. It's and I think it was titled something like what are we going to do with all these skinny girls? Because their belief system, their emotional state is still not the size of their body. And I thought it was super fascinating. You should read it.
I will
read it. It was really good.
It's to me, I'm baffled by that. And again, it's a generational thing. Yeah. And as a dad, I try really hard to I teach my kids, but also it's a lot of times the best teaching is let them fail on their own and let them have wins on their own. I'm there to help, but I'd much rather go forth.
Resiliency.
Go forth and do your thing, kiddos. And I'm always here for you, but you need to fail.
But
often.
See, failure is the roots of a tree, right? When we go back to the tree, like the deeper the roots, the higher the branches. The more you learn, the more you go deep into fractures and change and growth, the higher you can excel. It's the same thing. That's how it all keeps coming back to the tree. Oh, and here we are. Look at that.
Yeah. And it goes, I won't take my shirt up, but it's like, it goes all the way up.
See, people don't have to hug a tree. They just have to hug you.
Hug me. I'm a hugger. I was raised by Italians. Yeah. Fucking hug me. I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
But as you're saying that, I'm like, it gives meaning to what I wear that proudly, that this is failure here, but in my hand, that's what I work with the most. And that's how I'm going to create failure is through my hand, whether it's typing on a keyboard, talking with somebody or something like that. It's like, no, it's okay to do that. Don't be afraid of that. Embrace that.
That's the edge.
That's the edge.
That is not love and light. That's the thing.
That's get down and dirty, man.
That's get down and dirty.
Right?
And to everybody that looks different, it looks different at work, it looks different in relationships, it looks different in families. But getting down and dirty with yourself in your own life.
In terms of the people you work with, and I mean, your online stuff is great. What are some overlying challenges that you see all the time? And how do you overcome those challenges for those people or the advice you give them that you share?
I got asked this question a couple of weeks ago, and about 50% of my clients are female, 50% are men, which is kind of unusual in this field. As a spiritual coach, let's say most spiritual coaches would primarily coach women, but I have a strong masculine presence, so I tend to work equally with men and women. But I would say I'll talk on the female side. Most of the women that I work with have no idea how fucking powerful they are. They see themselves as small. They have contorted. They have changed to fit into what somebody believed they should be from the time they were young. And they've reached this cusp where they don't want to do that anymore. And they don't know how. They don't know how to say, that actually wasn't me. This isn't me. What do I do now? I've wound myself into all these things, even with family and neighborhoods and friends, or sometimes relationships, sometimes not. But I've contorted to become what I thought I was supposed to be. And I know that that's not me. And now what do I do? And that's where a lot of, deep spiritual work and a lot of magical practices can really help remove the bindings. For a visual, just think that a lot of those women come to me and they have been bound up by society's expectations for them and their families and other people. And they come to me and I help them unwind that binding. Now, I know, right?
Wow.
So from the men's side, most of the men that come to me, it's because they don't know how to hold the space for the women in their lives and they feel things kind of spiraling. A lot of times it's that same demographic of women, even if it's not their spouses, it's that same demographic of women that they are trying to figure out how to navigate life with. That's a part of it. And so I teach them how to hold big masculine space. And then secondarily, I'll say the whole other category of people I work with are those that don't have a confirmed or identified gender or sexual preference, and they want to play and explore, and they don't have anywhere in their life that they can go and talk about things that are not inside the box. And it's one thing that I'm super proud of. I'm surrounded by a lot of people that support transgenders and different sexual preferences, and I just help people know that that's okay. That is part of their power. So when I say the women don't know how fucking powerful they are, actually, I'm going to say that most people that come and sit in front of me on a screen or in person, I get to see them as, the goddess sees them.
Wow.
And I love it.
Oh my God. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about?
I want to talk about hexing and cursing.
Let's do it.
Okay. I want you to ask me questions on what you believe that to be. Let's talk about the darker side of magic a little bit, because it is a common misconception. So let's just dispel that. So I want you to ask me what you might want to know from a practicing witch that we haven't talked about before. What would you want to know?
As a practicing witch, what are the biggest misconceptions about hexing and cursing?
Okay.
And curses, I should say.
So
but what were the biggest misconceptions about hexing and curses?
I'm going to answer that secondarily.
Cursing, I'm like, fuck you.
I'm not going to end that. Actually, every time you say that, it's a curse. If you're driving down the road and somebody you have road rage and you get mad at someone and you say, I hope you go crash 2 blocks from now, you've just cursed the person. It's actually the same energy.
Okay.
You know, when you get mad at a neighbor because their dog is barking all the time and you say, oh, I wish your dog would blah, 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 it's a curse. So we actually use this kind of, dark magic all the time because in every spiritual tradition and every religion, they will tell you that at the beginning there was the word. So when you're speaking it, so it shall be. So don't think that that's different than that. Now, I want to say that hexing and cursing is in my practice and what I teach primarily in protection. If you need to do something to protect yourself or those you love, it's really easy to ask yourself where that line would be by asking yourself, what would you do physically to protect those people that you love? If Brandy or the kids was in physical danger, what would you do?
Anything.
It's the same with spiritual practices. It's the same with hexing and cursing. And that, at least that's how I teach it. Everybody can do their own thing. That's how I teach it. And so what is it? Well, it can be anything you want it to be. It depends on your own values, which leads me to this other question. The most commonly asked question I get is, am I a good witch or a bad witch? And my answer is, it depends on how you define good versus bad. So I'll ask you, do you think, I'll give you a situation. If I was to open a portal in the earth and suck the soul of a man into that portal, which means they might walk around as a human, but they would be devoid of feeling deep emotion. If I did that because I know that that man has been touching their teenage stepchild inappropriately, would you consider that bad or good?
Good.
Right. So with all things in life, there's good and evil, and how you determine that is up to you. And it's no different in witchcraft. It should just have the same tools, but you have those same tools with the knife. It could be the same thing, whether you're using a weapon or whether you're using hexing and cursing. So I always think that that's important to talk about, because what you would fight for as a human, why wouldn't you use magic? If you know how to use magic, it would be the same.
Wow. We always have a joke that we speak on behalf of our dog and cat. And because like a Cookie, and she's a pit bull and she's wonderful, and she's sleeps at the foot of our bed a lot and is bound up with blankets and everything. And there's times we'll say something and she'll pick her head up and look at us, and she's looking at us going, "Fuck you."
Oh yeah.
So we think our dog and cat put a curse on us often.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I have a lot of telepathy with my dog. I kind of know, like when you're in tune with energy, it's all still just energy. You're probably reading your dog correctly. I believe that to be true.
Brandy 100% has that with the dog and the cat.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the way they respond to her, like the cat doesn't like to be held. Brandy really, my stepdaughter a little bit, but really it's Brandy's the one that she lets her hold her, and the cat's right there and getting rubbed and all that. Where if I do it, it's "fuck you" and takes off.
Yeah, and if you ask them out loud sometimes, even though they don't speak English, but if you ask them out loud, right, if at the beginning there was words, so use the word ask. Like if the dog is barking and there's no reason why, ask them like, "What do you need?" And just sit quietly for a minute. See what comes to your head. They might say pepperoni. They might say, you might hear something. You would be surprised. They would communicate in their own way. You are capable of interpreting it. I mean, we could do this all day.
You could do a whole book series on spirituality and animals.
Oh, I mean, I know some powerful animal shamans. I don't consider myself to be like, that's not my practice. I feel like I don't know much about animal shamanism other than I know I can hear my dog. I hear him often. I hear what he says and I'm like, whoa. But again, I'm also the person that hears my plants talk to me.
I love that.
I can walk through rooms and I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Did I not water you for 10 days? You just yelled at me and said water. Got it. Message received. But I'm not special. We can all hear and feel and know these things. And it's inside our body, which is why you hear me talk a lot about connecting to our body.
I think that you are extremely special. I think you should give yourself a little more grace on that one, because you're the one creating awareness in others that they are special.
Mm-hmm. And I love it.
And I love that for you. I am blessed by our friendship. I'm blessed that you came, out to Vegas and we did this. There's an open seat for you there whenever you want to come back. If you want to come back before the book drops or anything like that.
Oh, that would be fun.
By all means.
Maybe we'll do a little meetup of the witches.
Okay.
I'll invite you. I mean, Brandy's there already, but we might allow you to come.
I'll be a fly on the wall for that one.
I'll be like, I better really teach me the protection in case these things start coming my way. What do I do?
Just be mute Jeff, which is rare, but that would happen.
We'll just put you to work. You can be our servant when the witches come together.
Done. Okay. Thank you so much, my love, for coming in. This has been an absolute joy.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. It's my honor.